Hello everyone, Gammon here, and this is why you should watch The Boys. So before I spend the rest of the video gushing about the show, let me start with why you shouldn't watch The Boys. This show is not safe for children. It's violent, it contains graphic scenes, with some having extreme gore reminiscent of RoboCop, as well as multiple scenes with full frontal nudity, the male kind. So if you have an issue with violence, cursing, nudity, or sexual themes, The Boys isn't for you. And for everyone else, let's start with what The Boys is. It's a deconstruction of superhero comics. The setting used for the deconstruction is set in current day, and superheroes are real and all of them work for one giant talent agency, Vought. Vought has different teams working for them, and at the very top are the Seven, who are the strongest and most famous superheroes in the world, and are clearly meant to be a reflection of the Justice League. The show uses this setting to explore what would happen in real life if people got superpowers, put on dumb costumes, and tried to fight crime. The answer it comes up with is that they'll be treated like Hollywood celebrities. They'll be loved and adored, and they'll react to that like anyone else will. They'll turn into assholes, with a few exceptions. And that's where the boys come in. The boys are a small team who, each for his own reason, have it out against the Supes. And so they work together to try and expose the Supes for what they really are behind the scenes and get some payback. That's what The Boys is, and it's also one of the best written and acted shows I've watched in years. Each character feels real and grounded in reality, even the superheroes. Perhaps this is because the writers come from Hollywood and they drew from what they know, but each character feels and acts real. Be it the cold agent who'll do anything to keep her star in check, the child actor who's been warped by the industry, the athlete who defines himself by his career, or the new star who's been flung into the lion's den that is the industry. What could have easily been a show filled with one-dimensional characters or caricatures of the characters they're trying to deconstruct is instead filled with living, breathing people doing things that flow naturally and logically. Everyone is well written, and most of them get good character moments. And it's usually at these character moments that the actors get their time to shine. The plot itself is also well written and incredibly solid and clever. You're often shown how a character got the information they needed. There are no major plot holes or deus ex machinas, as plot elements are logically set up, introduced, or foreshadowed. The solutions our heroes find to problems they're facing are often clever and surprising. This is a minor spoiler, but an example of this is when the boys need to bug a Soup's apartment. Instead of planting actual old-fashioned bugs, one of them mentions that with all of the smart devices everywhere, the apartment is actually already bugged, and they just need access to the mics and cameras that are already inside of the smart devices. Which honestly made me a little paranoid, but that's the state of the world, I guess. Now, while the acting is solid all the way through, there are some scenes that go above and beyond what you'd expect from your average TV shows, with the actors really going above and beyond the script and really putting their whole heart into the performance. Now, obviously, I don't want to get into spoilers as I'm making a video hoping to, get you to actually watch the show, but some of the twists in the story and the character development really left my jaw dropped. And also, speaking of acting, one thing that did bother me was that they went with an Israeli dude for a character named Frenchie. Now, don't get me wrong, he did a really good job, but to me, and maybe this is because I'm also Israeli, it was incredibly clear this dude wasn't French. Also, Butcher's beard looks fake. I don't know if it is fake, but it looks glued on. These are admittedly nitpicks, so let's move on to the production side of things. As far as I noticed, the show doesn't have any spectacular choreography or cinematography, but it is always competent. I never had any problem following the action, the scenes were never too dark, and they never used excessive shaky cam, making the action hard to follow, which is a big sin of other superhero movies and shows. However, if anyone is going into this expecting something like the corridor scene from Daredevil, you won't be getting any of that. This show is not revolved around fighting, and the boys don't have any superpowers and honestly can't stand up to the superheroes, so don't expect any of that. This is much more espionage than it is action. There wasn't any bad CGI used overall, or at least I didn't notice any bad CGI, and the costumes didn't use any CGI at all and were actual costumes. And honestly, they were just a joy to look at. Admittedly, I am a big fucking nerd and I love looking at just costume design. So, maybe you guys won't like it as much, but I love how much attention was put into each of these guys. My favorite costume is probably Black Noir, who's just a black blot of ink in the comics, but here actually has a real costume that's so fucking absurd it makes me smile every time I look at him. I also love how Homelander always has to pick up his cape when he sits down so he won't sit down on the American flag. All of these small details are just... I like him. Yeah, I'm a nerd, I know, whatever, don't judge me. They also make great use of silence and music, with scenes being punctuated with absolute dead silence when appropriate, or just good old-fashioned dead rock that usually comes in bursting and just sets the tone just right. And I think this is just about everything I can say about The Boys without going into spoilers, which I'll probably be doing in my next video, but hopefully it's enough to get you curious about the show and make you want to watch it. This is available on Amazon Prime. Oh, and one last thing I want to leave on is that this show is not a straight-up adaptation of the comics. It takes a lot of liberties. Multiple origin stories have been changed. Certain events have been completely reworked. And for somebody who comes into this show from the comics, that may seem like a bad thing. However, let me just say, as somebody who read the comics and is generally a fan of Garth Ennis' works, almost every change they've done in this show makes it better than the comics. And I like the comics, I really did. But as far as I can tell, the show is not just better, it is significantly better. So please give The Boys a shot. It's honestly one of the best shows I've watched in a long, long time. And it doesn't on a cliffhanger, but season 2 has already been confirmed, so don't worry about that. There will be more to the story. Anyway, that should be enough for now. Thanks for watching.